This episode of Marijuana Today Daily is brought to you by our exclusive multi-state cannabis operator sponsor, Curaleaf, one of the nation's top vertically integrated medical and wellness cannabis operators. With 50 local dispensaries, 14 cultivation sites, and 13 processing facilities, serving up more than 165,000 registered medical marijuana patients. You can learn more about Curaleaf over at curaleaf.com, with Curaleaf spelled Curaleaf. That's Curaleaf.com. Good morning, Marijuana Nation. It's Wednesday, January 22nd, 2020, and you're tuned in to episode 870 of Marijuana Today Daily. I'm your host, Shay Gunther, and I'll be walking you through today's marijuana news and headlines. As always, we have a full and busy day of cannabis news in our hands, so let's jump right into it. Deborah Borchard over at Green Market Report leads off today's news with a look at the growing pile of rumors over the financial ruin that multi-state cannabis operator MedMen seems to currently be in, with the California-based company said to be behind on making payments to vendors. As Deborah astutely points out, this is generally the time of year when a company with retail operations is flush with cash, so the fact that MedMen is behind on paying out to vendors is a troubling sign. With a number of other financial red flags that include layoffs at the end of last year and a sell-off of real estate assets. In the last financial report issued by MedMen for the quarter ending in September, it had $671 million in liabilities against just under $44 million in revenue. This exact topic was covered in our weekly podcast, Marijuana Today, with our host, Chris Crane, speaking with regular Troy Dayton. So if you want more on this, read Deborah's story and then pop over to mjtodaypodcast.com to hear Chris and Troy. As always, we have all the news we cover linked to on our website at mjtodaydaily.com. To New Mexico we go, where Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham gave her State of the State address yesterday, in which she called for adult use marijuana to be made legal this year, following earlier action this month where she included the issue in her 2020 legislative agenda. That's notable because New Mexico has a short 30-day legislative session this year that is currently underway. So if state lawmakers take up the governor's call, and it appears that they will, we could have our newest legal adult use state in less than a month. Open up Marijuana Moment for the full read here and to watch the part of Governor Grisham's speech where she talks about the need to legalize cannabis. For our final top story today, we pick up on a newer storyline that we've been covering lately here on the Daily, and that's the 41% of all industrial hemp crops that have tested as having too much THC in Arizona that have to be destroyed per federal law. Hemp Industry Daily is reporting that the hot weather that is typical of Arizona is thought to be the cause of the high number of plants testing over the federal limit of 0.3% THC. I'm no cultivation expert, but if that's the case, then Arizona farmers are going to have to do a better job of selecting hemp strains that can stand hotter weather. This is a storyline that will continue to evolve and grow in other states. Those are our top stories for today. It's time for Marijuana Today Daily Headlines Blitz. Before we blitz out on headlines, let's quickly thank our exclusive multi-state cannabis operator sponsor, Curaleaf, one of the nation's top vertically integrated medical and wellness cannabis operators. With 50 local dispensaries, 14 cultivation sites, and 13 processing facilities serving up more than 165,000 registered medical marijuana patients. Pop over to Curaleaf.com today to learn all that there is to know about how Curaleaf covers the entire legal marijuana spectrum, from Curaleaf Medical Marijuana, Curaleaf Hemp, and Yuku Craft Cannabis. You can also dive into more about Curaleaf the stock, now traded up on the Canadian Securities Exchange under the symbol CURA. Big thanks to everyone over at Curaleaf for their support of our show and for supporting worthy causes like the Veterans Cannabis Project, which seeks to expand the access to medical marijuana by military veteran patients. You can find out more about that organization over at vetscp.org, spelled VETSCP.org. All right, time for the blitz. We have another governor making big moves towards pushing adult use policy reform, with New York Governor Andrew Cuomo releasing his 2020 budget proposal yesterday that assumes that state lawmakers will pass legalization legislation. There was a lot of work on this issue last year in New York, but ultimately the idea of legalizing was kicked down the road to this year as a consensus plan was not able to be put together. Governor Cuomo's newest released bill has the state pulling in $20 million in legal marijuana taxes and fees in 2021, rising to $63 million the following year and to $188 million by 2025. That's a decent chunk of change that comes on top of the savings from not busting and jailing people for marijuana crimes. Another good one to pop over to Marijuana Moment to read more. Bloomberg government takes a good look at the new model, now legal in Colorado, of certain commercial establishments being allowed to set up space where customers can consume cannabis. A new bill in Colorado went into effect on January 1st that allows for some businesses like cannabis lounges, cafes, and tasting rooms to open up. Even though marijuana has been legal in the U.S. for adult use consumers since 2014, we still have yet to see a fully developed commercial system for consumption to start up, so it'll be interesting to watch things grow in the Centennial State. Give this one a read today. Chris Moore over at Mary Jane nicely outlines the current state of Oklahoma's medical marijuana industry, which is just a year and a half old, but already one of the more active medical state markets, with 220,000 people, or 1 in 13 adults of age, registered as a medical patient. Edmond, Oklahoma, population 91,000, now has more medical marijuana dispensaries per capita than Denver, Colorado. That's pretty incredible, making Oklahoma a general storyline that you need to be following. Of all the legal cannabis states in the U.S., Oklahoma's built their program with the lowest barriers to entry for all participants. Marijuana Business Daily has some exclusive news out of New Zealand, where it's learned that the nation plans on overturning a previously set ban on vaporizers ahead of the launch of a newly expanded medical marijuana program in April. New Zealand will be importing medical cannabis, which includes vaporizers, at the start of the new program, with plans to later phase in domestic products as New Zealand cultivators come online. This will create some initial market opportunity for Canadian companies, so this is not a bad one to read in full. Keeping our sights overseas for a headline, we have news out of Sicily, Italy, that medical marijuana patients there will receive their medical cannabis free of charge, after a decree was signed yesterday by Health Chief Ruggero Razza. Italy is one of the 30 first world nations out of 31 total to have figured out socialized medicine, so citizens there get healthcare for free and don't have to worry about facing financial ruin should they get sick. That must be nice. David Bienenstock over at Leafly has another story that you definitely want to read, as he looks at the divergence between the public rhetoric being used by Democratic presidential Pete Buttigieg on the topics of drug policy, social justice, and equity, and how Mayor Pete actually ran South Bend, Indiana while in office. In short, Mayor Pete talks a good game on the campaign trail, but came up fairly short in his history as mayor of South Bend, in one particular case firing the city's first black police chief under pressure from white racist cops. With the stakes as high as they are for this year's elections, this is one you need to read. Our final story on the day is a chart by Marijuana Business Daily showing the growth in the amount of marijuana flower sold by medical cannabis dispensaries in Florida in the 6 months following the new policy change allowing for flower to be consumed. Florida law has long banned marijuana flower, despite the modality generally being the cheapest one for consumers and one that some patients just can't do without. Thankfully, that changed last year, and in July, Florida dispensaries sold 1,713 pounds of flower, growing to 5,452 pounds by December. Those are the headlines and news for the day. I'll be back with you again tomorrow morning with another information-packed episode of Marijuana Today Daily. But in the meantime, if you have any stories to share or feedback to give, zip us an email to headlines@mjtodaydaily.com. And while you're clicking around the interwebs, swing over to our Twitter account at MJTodayDaily and visit our website at mjtodaydaily.com to find links to all the news we cover. Thanks to our sponsor, Curaleaf, and to our awesome patron listeners for the support that makes this show possible. To join the illustrious ranks of the patron listeners yourself, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com and click on that big blue button at the top of the page that says Become a Patron. I'm your host, Shay Gunther. Thanks for tuning in and starting your day with marijuana today.
One take, Shay. One take.